Yo, what is up, everyone? Today we're going to be playing Bones Clicker on itch.io. So let's get started. I played like 2 seconds before I was like, yo, let me record. So here I am trying out. I really like idle games and I might as well lock in, play some, and learn how they work and get really good at idle games. Just because I said that's going to be like my developer build. I like idle games. It's kind of relaxing. But yeah, so I guess we're in the sewers now, and we are going to use spacebar. No, I actually have to click. So we are killing these rats. What's in my inventory? What is this? I ate cheese. Did not mean to do that. So there are 40 rats in here. Let's go kill these rats. All right, one more cave rat. All right, one more. Oh, it's 4 more. I guess this is completed now. Let's go to the secret passage. Oh, I guess we're in the next section. Let's go. Damn, it's taking forever to kill these bugs. This game, I would say this game is inspiring because I was literally imagining a game like this, but more so for the phone because I just think tapping makes more sense on the phone. So let's see some of the options. All right, let's try this outskirt. Boom. Have we earned any income? Let's see. Boom. We have a wood sword and I have 13 coin. So I cannot do. What does 𝗕cie have? Armor. What does 𝗕lie the merchant? What does a clairvoyant do? Who knows? We gotta enter the goblin plains. How do we do that? So this does not have that. Well, whatever, let's keep going to the... Let me see. That's... Boom. Oh, that's pretty cool. And then multiple enemies can pop up. I think that's pretty cool. So what do I talk about? I honestly have no idea. I've been trying to at this point, let me just talk about what comes naturally, and maybe over time this will get a lot easier because I will say, you know, the people who stream all day, like, they must have a special ability because I am trying to talk. I don't know what to talk about. I'm talking to a screen, so essentially, I might have to just speak my mind. So what's on my mind today? Well, one of the things I did today was I realized so I've been learning a program and whatnot, and I just don't have before, when it comes to programming, I just did not understand. There's just so much, and I also couldn't really understand what's the best way for me to learn, because I would watch videos, I would watch tutorials, and I'm lying because I wouldn't do that. I would watch these videos and I watch a couple seconds, or I watch enough for me to get inspired. But it's so boring, just copying the code. It's so boring. And then I tried using the AI to help me code, but then the AI will start lying to me, and now I'm learning bullshit that doesn't work. And then I'll tell it why did you do that? And it says, oh, my bad. And so I had to figure out my own way. So for me, I think the best way for me to learn, honestly, is that so what I did was I just used Context 7 to give it a bunch of documentation, and then I asked it to explain the documentation with the Feynman method, which I don't know. I don't know how I came to that. I think I just asked one of the LLMs, but I like the Feynman method explanations a lot, and then I told it to turn it into Anki cards for me, because you know, um, I have to be my bad. I have to be able to read the code like English. I could read more or less, but so I did that to basically know the ins and out. And then I made a document for. Then I had to come up with a framework for me to come up with stuff, because the thing is this: a lot of these videos, they talk about like syntax and all and whatnot. You watch these developer videos and it's like they're so syntax focused, right? What I needed to understand, that I was like struggling to really understand, was like, what's the mental model do I need to have when approaching stuff to actually build stuff? Because I rather dive in and figure my way out. But one thing that was a reoccurring theme is I would keep going and building, and then eventually I will get lost. I would end up with a maze, right? I will end up with a maze, and then I would not understand what I'm doing. I wouldn't understand the data. And so it's like challenging finding like someone to talk about like a building mentality, right? Like what do I also, the other thing is everyone's different, right? So I had to like deconstruct what I don't know, and it was really hard. It took me like a couple of weeks to just really understand myself to the extent that I could finally figure out, because I also didn't even have the language to express what I didn't know, because with coding there's so much like layers upon layers of jargon and complexity. Because like, for example, game development, bro, the scripting is just one aspect about it. There's the animation, hell, there's even the art direction. If you're gonna have story, it's the story writing. So there's a lot of dimensions to things. And when it came to like apps and stuff like that, it's also so overwhelming, because like, to me, coding is just like a pencil or a paintbrush with way extra steps. Like, you have to learn so much just so you could start painting, which you could just oh, I already finished this? All right, man, I was chatting. So what is this? Oh wait, I could go to the next floor. So yeah, so what I was saying was that I didn't even understand what I need to really understand. So what ended up for me was I realized that I needed to really, one of the first things I needed to do personally to really like break barriers was, I realized that the first thing I need to study and memorize are file structure patterns for different projects. I needed to understand like file structure, what goes where goes what. Because I don't know, like, I mean, when I would do these tutorials, maybe, I don't know, it would be so focused on like what's being written on the page, and then it's like, oh, we're doing this, and they're explaining the code, and then they just like gloss over the project structure. But I personally really need to understand the project structure and also how the data flows, because while I can understand like the back end stuff and like creating data models and stuff, but I needed to understand the totality of a project, how everything flows into each other. So so personally, I just need, like, to me, the coding stuff, I think I could just like, figure that shit out. But what I really need to understand, and there's so much to understand, and for me to like just fish through that information. So it was project structure. The other thing I needed to understand is like a build order, like which order should I build. But then the other thing I realized I needed to understand was that give me 1 second. The other thing I needed to understand is, damn, this snake. I guess I'm just obliterating the snake. No, the other thing I really needed to understand that I didn't understand was things like what order to build things, but also how to how can I imagine projects in my brain, and so I had to figure out a way to organize projects, or a nice explanation, and then memorize these explanations. And then the other thing I needed to understand was okay, because one thing that's reoccurring to me, and I sort of realized with game development, and hell, probably even app projects, most people do not finish things. Hell, I'm not even that deep into the journey, and I am guilty of that as well. Like starting a bunch of projects and not finishing it. And so this was a reoccurring issue, and I was like, yo, how the fuck am I gonna, organize, deal with this? So my solution is I had to come up with sorry, I had to plug it in my laptop. I had to come up with a mental model for approaching projects. And so I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember it, but it was pretty helpful. But what I do remember, I mean, that's why it's an Anki card. I had it organized, right? I did this today. But ultimately, I realized that, one of the clear issues is that I need to have the end in mind, I need to have the end in mind. So I need to draw out the entire thing, and just say this is it, and that's it. You know what I mean? Just give myself a harsh deadline, not deadline, but make it finite. You know what I mean? And then make that finite set in stone, because one thing I hear a lot about is scope creep, right? Scope creep. And I was like, I don't want none of that, because I'm not. So, all right, this is the other thing I had to realize about myself, right? So I could freely move forward in the direction I want, was okay, I want to be a developer, bet, right? But there's so many different types of apps, right? So I make music, so we're using music as an example. I make hip hop beats, right? I make rap beats, whatever, underground beats. I do that. But am I making pop music? Am I making jazz? Am I making R&B? There's this whole thing in producers. There's a bunch of tight beats. And I realized, hey, as a developer, of course I should know to develop. But why should I develop a whole bunch of shit? You know what I mean? Why do I need to develop a bunch of fucking different apps? For the skill? Sure, but is that what I want? And I said, no, that is not what I want. Yeah, sure, I could build anything. But why do I have to be at the skill level to build anything? I should just focus on things that I want to build and perfect that, niche down. And I said, what do I like? For example, before I was doing arcade games, because I said arcade games are easy. But then I realized something. I said, fuck arcade games. I was not liking, damn, these wolves do not spawn. I said, I don't like these arcade games, right? And I sat down with myself and I said, what do I actually like? And what I like are idle games. You're lying, man. That's crazy. It has 10 attack. But I wasted my coins over nothing. This rapier only has... Man, I even had a better short sword. Damn, bro. I wasted my coins. Man, I don't even remember what the fuck I was saying. Oh, yeah. So I told myself, I was like, yo, I got to niche down. I got to lock in. What do I actually want to build? And I said, I want to do idle games, man. I like idle games. They relax me. I want to get better at the craft of idle games. I know. Like, I spent so much time learning Godot, and now I don't give a fuck about Godot, bro. I mean, I'm still, clearly, I'm still going to use Godot, but yeah. I mean, yeah, learning about all the animation shit doesn't matter to me. Learning about, what else is there? Yeah, I mean, I don't have to learn about animation as much anymore, right? This is kind of what I was thinking, though, in terms of like idle game. Like, it's an idle game. It's like you're interacting with menus and stuff like that, but it's also a story game. You know what I mean? Like, you imagine your whole adventure. That's what I'm thinking, because you could do a lot of cool stuff with this. Like, for example, this is just one island. Because this is just a JPEG, bro, and this is just like a PNG, I could literally make like a whole menu labyrinth, right? I could make this crazy world. And I mean, it'll still take time, but not as much time as 2D, not as much time as a 2D. You know what I mean? Like, hell, I could just mix up assets if I really want to. You know what I mean? Buy some assets, make different islands, use different assets, so you have different, like, enemies. Yeah, it might not be in theme, but fuck it, though. Who cares? It's about the vision, I ain't think that deep. Hell, I don't know. I don't think I just be clicking stuff. That's why I like idle games. See, I don't even know what I'm doing in this game, and I'm still playing it. Yeah, so I don't know. I like this game, to be honest. I just wish I had like some music, but I like it. The only thing for me though is I don't really know what's going on. So one thing that really inspired me, because this is also about enter the Goblin Plains. Oh, there is the quest. So I have to find my way to the Goblin Plains. But it seems like I'm heading to the tombs. But yeah, I said I like doing, so for example, with me, right? If I had to pick, so I guess this is also like a devlog, I would say my build as a developer would definitely be, that's another thing. I started fucking around with audio plugins. Bro, that shit's complicated, and I was using like AI and stuff like that. Like, originally I tried Juice, and I was using Producer, and that shit is so ass. And so I got to use CMake, and there's like this project that comes already, and I don't have to use Juicer, whatever. And so I got a plugin to work, right? I was making a saturation plugin. And man, so it was doing something, right? But then I sort of realized I don't even know what I'm supposed to like listen to, because I was just fucking around with Claude. I have not dived too deep into DSP, but a lot of you have to come up with algorithms, right? And that's how these like algorithms, they impact the voice or whatnot. But first of all, I mean, for me to learn the math for this shit, tough, bro. I mean, I could definitely offload that to Claude, but then I don't even know how to get the output, because I've never thought about sound in the way I would have to in order to make a plugin. You know what I mean? Like odd order harmonics and stuff in the voice, and it's like, I don't know what to say. My voice, I do not know, man. I do not know what to do with that, but got it to work. I'll figure that shit out eventually. That is a side quest. That is not a main quest for me. That is a complete side quest. But I was talking about my developer build. So I'm gonna focus on idols. I'm gonna become an idol developer. I will figure out how to perfect my craft at making idols. Now, I was thinking making like a phone idol. Um, the only way I will make like a Steam idol game, it would be something like this. But then, see, the thing with Steam though is there's a bunch of people that have spent 10 years on a game, 10, 5. And you're going to see my little like JPEG ass game. The only way that can make that work is if the people that play praise it, you know what I mean? So one thing that I'm definitely, so I could end this video, is that I'm really struggling is scope and just making a finite game, because I don't know what that means, right? Like I don't know how to, I don't know, like creating a end of the game. And for me, I'm like, I don't want to make it too short, but then it's also like I have to test the ideas. So I'm wrestling with my own artistic ego in this regard, and I will conquer that. So this should be my whatever. I don't know, fucking know what that vlog this is. Maybe 7, 8, 9. Who knows? Because I'd be recording videos and then I'll like batch upload until I run out or when I remember to. But I just been steadily recording, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. Bye. I might continue this game. It's not bad. It gives me something to do while I chat, and it's not too intensive. But yeah, bye.